Welcome to Security Plus, Chapter 4. This is the last part of Chapter 4. It's short, digital forensic. If we say forensic, what forensic means? What forensic means? In Arabic or English? forensic معناه احنا نقوم نجمع الأدلة عشان نثبت حاجة معينة أو نصل لنتيجة معينة. إذا حصل أي كرايم، أي نوع من الكرايم، إحنا نقوم نجمع الأدلة بعد ذاك عشان نجمع البيس بتاع الأدلة ونحطهم مع بعض. بعد ذاك نشوف عشان نصل لنتيجة معينة. نفس الحكاية إذا حصل أي outbreak أو حصل أي incidents ف في الكمبيوتر نستعمل ديجيتال فرنسيك. هو يعني نفس الحكاية لكن هنا بيختلف في التولز. طيب digital forensic describes the process of the collecting and protecting information that's usually related to some type of the security event. طبعا نجمع المعلومات ونحافظ عليهم وكده. That cover any different techniques for gathering data across many type of digital devices. إذا حصل أي security event إحنا نقوم نجمع الداتا من كل الأجهزة الموجودة عندنا عشان نصل نعرف بالضبط what's going on. طيب هنتكلم في digital forensic عن ال documentation event والacquisitions والنون بريميس والكلاود. نتكلم عن integrity، نتكلم عن perception، نتكلم عن e-discovery، نتكلم عن data recovery ونون reputation، ونتكلم عن strategy intelligence والcounter intelligence. طيب في الديجيتال في ال documentation and evidence نشوف legal hold. طيب what's a legal hold? Protect any document that can be used in the evidence from beginning destroyed from begin destroyed, sometimes called legislations hold. يعني إذا عندنا أي evidence نقوم نحمل evidence بتاعنا ديل من شنو؟ من الدسترويد، يعني ما يحصل لهم destroyed. طيب الفيديوز طبعا CCTV أو CCTV can be a good source for evidence. لما يحصل أي incidents الكاميرا طبعا لأنه بيكون مسجل الأحداث وكده، فهو ده من الجود resource of evidence. نجي نراجع الكاميرا بدينا شنو؟ بدينا identity of attackers and the time. إذا في زول قدر خشة في داتا سنتر أو مكان، لما نراجع الكاميرا بدينا التايم وشنو والاتاكرز، ممكن يدينا شخصيته وكده. طيب إننا change of custody track the movement of the evidence. إذا عندنا evidence نعمله track movement of evidence through its collection, safeguarding and analyze life cycle document. Each person who hold it the evidence، أي زول عمل hold the evidence، time, date it was collect or transfer and the purpose of transfer. يعني تكون أنت متابع كل الخطوات بتاع evidence بتاعنا، حتى لو في زول شالوا الديت بتاعه، شالوا ساعة كم والتايم، وبعد ذاك حول وعمل له ترانسفير برضه نسجله ونسجل البيربوس يعني بتاع الترانسفير وكده. عندنا timelines and sequence of event. طيب عندنا time tags stamps. each file has شنو time stamps. show أي file فيه time stamp show what show file where created last modification أو modify and last access. أي فايل يعني بديك المعلومة ده لو رجعت للتايم ستامب بتاعه بديك فيه متى create and متى حصل له modification ومتى حصل له access. time of set where evidence is collected across multi-time zone. إذا كان evidence طبعا multi-time zone ممكن يكون east zone or central zone or west zone. Were called west zone. You must record offsets based on the time zone. يعني انت تكتب التايم بالتايم انت اخذت فيه في الزون بتاعه. اذا في ايست كوست تكتب مثلا 3 بي ام eastern or western or central time zone. tag discovery tag virtual are virtual sticky note. تعمل له sticky note or label attached with the document. make them easy شنو to search. يعني اي evidence لازم يكون فيه sticky note فيه معلومات عشان easy انك انت لما تيجي تعمل search تلقاه. report to support of effective post incidents review all key discussions and decisions. إذا في حصل discussion or decisions make during the edition event should be well documented. يعني لما يحصل أي discussions ولا decision في أثناء الكولكشن بتاع الايفنت should be شنو لازم يكون documented. وطبعا زي القضية الحاجات ده يعني لما يحصل كرايم مش البوليس والديتكتورز والبتاع بيجمعوا أي حاجة ومقولة أي شخص عشان بعدين يقدموه عشان يصلوا للنتيجة. نفس الحكاية. طيب event log provide the means of the reconstruction sequence of the event. لما نرجع لللوج بدينا السيكونس الايفنت اللي حصل. ده برضو واحد بيساعدنا. بعد ذاك الأخير interview the police may also take witness statement. يعني إن إذا ممكن يجيبوا law enforcement أو بوليس بيعمل شنو؟ بيعمل investigate للناس الموجودين وممكن يشيل pictures وكده وفوتوس والحاجات دي. فده برضو واحد من الايفيدنس اللي احنا ده كله بيكون شنو under the documentation evidence. acquisition of evidence order of volatility ان الديسك. طبعا في الكمبيوتر في الديسك ورام او random access memory وسوايب or fetch file operating system device firmware snapshot cache network artifact. فعشان نطلع المعلومات دي الحاجات اللي فيه داتا كويس. الهارد ديسك طبعا بكون مسجلة فيه الداتا حتى لو حصل له دامج يعني نشيل الهارد ديسك ده عشان نطلع منه بعد الداتا. راندوم اكسس برضه في جزء من الداتا بكون موجود في الرام كويس. والمعلومات اللي بكون موجودة في الرام ده شنو؟ بكون temporary. كويس. لأنه الرام بيشيل الداتا عشان من الهارد. مهمته شنو الراندوم اكسس ميموري رام؟ رام بيشيل الداتا من الاستورج وبخليه بكون قاعد في الرام. بعد ذاك من رام بعمل فيد للداتا للبروسيسورز السي بي يو على حسب الحوجة وكده. فبرضه بكون فيه بعد الداتا swipe or page file used to running application when the RAM is excused. يعني لما الرام يكون مليان ده بيشيل برضه جزء من الداتا. طيب operating system برضه بكون فيه نرجع للاوبريتنج سيستم برضه فيه جزء من الداتا. والديفايس قال لك when the police are taken evidence from laptops, desktop and شنو mobile device that take complete system image. إذا دارين ياخدوا معلومات من الكمبيوتر ياخد الايمج بتاعه، لأنه كل الداتا بكون under image بتاع data. framework embedded code could be resolved engineered by an attack. So original source code must be شنو complete to code in. يعني احنا لما يكون عندنا embedded code. embedded طبعا قلنا الديفايس اللي بيكون صغيرة بيكون تشتغل بو ال زي الكاميرا مثلا. الديجيتال كاميرا مش بيكون فيه تشيبس، بيكون هو جهاز كامل يعني زي الكمبيوتر كامل، فبكون فيه كود. فإذا حصل أي حاجة بترجع للكود ده بتشوف حاصل فيه شنو. طيب عندنا سناب شات ده طبعا في الفيرتشوال ماشين. لما ننزل فيرتشوال ماشين نقدر نعمل كوبي اوف ذا ايمج بتاع الفيرتشوال ماشين كله، بيسموه سناب شات في تايم معين. مثلا انا لو عندي فيرتشوال ماشين وشغال به كله، بعد فتره ناخد سناب شات بتاعه. اذا شلت سناب شات ده ممكن اوديه وانزله في جهاز ثاني هيشتغل برضو از فيرتشوال ماشين، بكون نفس الكوبي من الفيرتشوال ماشين بتاعنا. ومرات تحتفظ به عشان انا لما نكون شغال وحصل الفيرتشوال ماشين ده حصل ضرب ولا حاجه نرجع طوالي للتاريخ انا اخذت سناب شات ده بكون ابديت لحد التاريخ اللي انا اخذته كده. كله بعد فتره ناخد جديد عشان يكون في اضافه جديده وكده. نتورك اولسو نقدر نطلع منه المعلومات والارتفيشال any piece of evidence including log files, register and DNA, fingerprint, fiber, close and what visible to the neck of eye. طيب في الاوكوزيشن تقريبا دي الحاجات الاوكوزيشن. طيب اذا كان حصل انسيدنس كيف انا اطلع الداتا؟ ابدا من وين يعني؟ ابدا من وين؟
تبدأ من أول حاجة بتفقد الداتا سريع.
يس.
الحاجات اللي
لانه في بعض الحاجات بيكون فيه temporary الداتا بيكون فيه temporary. كويس. وفي حاجات بيكون داتا فيه ثابت، لانه الكمبيوتر لما يكون شغال بكون في داتا بتنقل من مكان، مثلا من هارد ديسك بمشي الميموري بمشي البروسيسور بكون شغال، بعد ذاك بيجي راجع وكده. فاذا حصل انسيدنس انا اجي ابدا من محلات الفيو داتا متحرك او الداتا مؤقت. كويس. فالترتيب ببدا من هنا، نبدا من سي بي يو، لانه السي بي يو فيه كاش والريجست كاونتر. فالكاش ده يعني زي ذاكره مؤقته. كويس. فده اسرع حاجه الداتا بتاعه بروح. فنبدا اول حاجه نشوف في الكاش. 1 minute. اوكي سوري. طيب كنا نبدا نشوف الداتا من محل الداتا فقد سريع. ف فنبدا بالكاش، والكاش ده يكون في السي بي يو. بعد ذاك نجي للراوتين تيبل ده طبعا اذا عندنا سويتش كويس. ونجي في ار كاش والبروسيسور تيبل. ومع ذاك نجي لل لايف نتورك كونكشن داتا فلو. بعد ذاك نجي للميموري كويس. بعد كده نمشي للتمبرري فايل سيستم. بعد ذاك حتى نجي للهارد ديسك داتا ان هارد ديسك، لانه داتا هارد ديسك ده اصلا ثابته يعني. بعد كده نشوف الريموت لوج الداتا. بعد كده نمشي للداتا ستورج ان ارشيف اور في الارشيف ده اخر حاجه. فهنا السؤال لما يجيك بيجيب لك الحاجات ديل وبقول لك انا ابدا من ياتوفيم، او اخر حاجه اخذ من وين. اخر حاجه ممكن اخذ منه الداتا من وين؟ ارشيف. واول حاجه ببدا بالكاش. اذا جه سؤال بيجيك من النوعيه ده، او بقول لك رتبهم ترتيب، يعني رتبهم ترتيب. فانت تبدا تشوف الجهاز اللي بيكون اسرع واحد بيفقد داتا، وتمشي لاخر واحد بيمشي داتا. يعني اذا ما لقيت ارشيف تشوف اللي بعده طوالي، غالبا بيكون في هارد درايف كويس. الحاجات الاساسيه هو هنا عندك الكاش والرام والهارد درايف والارشيف. فده order of volatility. فلازم تعرفهم كويس، لانه بيجي سؤال اكيد منه. وسؤاله زي ما قلت لك يا طريقتين، يا بقول لك رتبهم، يا بقول لك اول واحد نبدا بشنو نجمع الداتا بدايته، او بقول لك اخر واحد احنا نجمع الداتا وكده. ما بيجيب لك طبعا 8 ولا حاجه، بيجيب لك 3 ولا 4. فانت بتعرف انه الداتا في اجهزه سريعه بفقد، وفي اجهزه بكون ثابته. مثلا هارد درايف ده طبعا بكون داتا فيه ثابت، ممكن اخر حاجه نرجع له كويس. تعرف اي واحد يعني فيه اعلى من الثاني وكده. مثلا ده ممكن يديك مثلا زي ده كاش رام. تعرف انه كاش ده اول واحد. اذا ما ظهر كاش ده بيجي رام راندوم اكسس ميموري كويس. بيكين فايل هارد درايف. بعد كده بيجي شنو لوج ستورج ريموت سيستم. بعده اخر حاجه اركيف ده اخر حاجه. اوكي طيب. also مرات بكون في داتا في شنو on premise او شنو في كلاود. on premise طبعا قلنا الداتا لما يكون عندك في محلك انت يعني. والكلاود عرفنا الداتا بكون ستورج في انت مؤجر كلاود او مؤجر واحد من الشركات الكلاود. ممكن يكون امازون او اجور مايكروسوفت. طيب اذا كان داتا طبعا في الكلاود، ممكن يكون كلاود ده موجود في دولة تانية مثلا. فانت هنا مقيد بقوانين، يعني انت لازم تعمل حسابك للريجوليشنز. كويس، واللوس بتاع الدولة داك عشان تقدر تجمع داتا، لأنه أنت ما ممكن مثلا قاعد في أمريكا ودار تجمع الداتا من كلاود في تشاينا مثلا. أنت هناك تخضع للقوانين بتاع تشاينا وكده، فأنت لازم تعرف القوانين وتعرف الطرق بتاع الليجل بتاعهم شنو. كويس، ولازم تمشي عن طريق اللوس. طيب برضو عندنا الانتجريتي بتاع الداتا. طيب اتكلمنا عن الانتجريتي، قلنا اهم حاجه في الانتجريتي كيف نعمل انتجريتي الداتا، او الانتجريتي هو شنو؟ الانتجريتي انه الداتا ما حصل له اي شنو، ما حصل له اي تغيير، يعني نفس الداتا ده هو نفس الداتا اللي استقبلناه. فاتكلمنا عن الهاش، اتكلمنا عن الهاش. طيب هاش شنو؟ لو سؤال قلنا هاش، واتس هاش؟ عنده 3 حاجات لازم تعرف لما نقول هاش. اوكي
The algorithm value that go in one
one way.
direction.
one way اوكي. واحد.
One way.
لازم تعرف انه one way. one way يعني شنو؟
يعني بيمشي، ما بيتغير تاني، انه يعني لو عملنا له شفرة ما بيرجع، انه ذول يقدر يعني
ما نقدر نرجعه
يغير
لورا
في، يرجع
للأصل.
لورا لانه
ده ميزة
اي
واحد.
لاصله.
ده واحد. تاني ميزة بتاعه شنو؟ بوفر شنو؟ الانتجريتي.
integrity.
وعنده ميزة ثالثة شنو؟ في حاجة ثالثة في الهاش لازم تعرف فيه. احنا تكلمنا عن 2، ده في حاجة ثالثة، في زول بذكر ثالث.
الصوت قصدك
نو هاش.
في الهاش. اوكي.
ايوه، ميزتين ديل في الهاش. قلنا بوفر الانتجريتي، وهو وان واي. وان واي يعني ما تقدر ترجعه لودا ودا. كويس. وقلنا اي هاش، اي انبوت بدينا 1 هاش، مش كده؟ اذا حصل تغيير في اي نقطه من الهاش بغير البتاع. لكن في حاجه تانية، في حاجه تانية بحصل في الهاش، في كوليشن مش كده؟ كوليشن. كوليشن ده 1 داتا بدينا 2 هاش، مش كده؟ كوليشن. طيب اننا تاني في الاوكوزيشن بروسيفيشن، والاي ديسكفري، والداتا ريكفري، والنون ريبيتيشن، نون ريبيتيشن، and اننا شنو؟ استراتيجي، intelligent، والcounter intelligent. طيب counter intelligent شنو؟ إذا قلنا لك counter intelligent،
عمل مضاد.
عمل مضاد. counter intelligent معناه عمل مضاد.
تعمل مثلا كمثال في الحياه العمليه،
مهم.
خد واحد تابع دبل ايجنت، استخبارات هنا واستخبارات هنا، ده واحد منهم. او يكون ما تعرف، يعني مثلا الصينيين مثلا حسب حاولوا يكونوا كاونتر انتليجنس اجينست امريكا، ولا فايس فيرسا، اسمها كاونتر انتليجنس.
counter intelligent. مو اسمه بيقولوا شنو الانتليجنت. طبعا هو الانتليجنت شنو هو الانتليجنت؟ ما هو
انفورميشن جاذرينج وديتا جاذرينج.
العمل
الداتا.
الاستخباري.
عمل استخباري. لكن كاونتر معناه الاستخبارات شنو؟ المضاد،
مكافحة
مش كده؟
التجسس.
بس مكافحة التجسس that's right. يعني بكون في counter intelligence معناه مكافحة التجسس. استراتيجية intelligence معناه شنو؟ استراتيجية المخابرات. طيب ده الفرنزيك، كله ما يتعلق بالفرنزيك، وده آخر بارت في chapter 4. ونشوف الكلام ده بالتفصيل. بعد ما نخلص ده نكون خلصنا chapter 4. ممكن يكون لنا زي 10 دقائق نشوف اللينكس اللي أنا مرسلهم، ممكن ناس ما يطلعوا عليه نفتحوا نشوفه كده. اوكي طيب one minute نرجع عليه. اوه طيب what happened? Okay, we need this one. Okay, good. All right. Okay.
Whenever you have a security incident, you need to gather evidence. RFC 3227 is the guideline used by security professionals for evidence collection and archiving. RFC describes 3 phases for the digital forensics process, which are acquisition of data, the analysis of that data, and reporting of that data. A legal hold, also known as litigation hold, is the process by which organizations preserve potentially relevant information when litigation is pending or reasonably anticipated. By issuing a legal hold, organizations notify custodians about their duty not to delete ESI or physical documents relevant to a case. Legal hold basically describes what type of data needs to be preserved for later use. Data copied for this legal hold is often stored in a separate repository, and it is referred to as electronically stored information or ESI. These legal holds may ask for many different kinds of information and many types of applications, and the information is stored for a certain amount of time or maybe indefinite hold. When you receive a legal hold and have the responsibility to gather and maintain the data, you will preserve all of the information. Do note that not all data can be used in a legal environment, and the laws are different depending on the location. The important part of the collected data is a set of standards that allow the data to be used in a legal environment. Also, if you're authorized to gather information, the data itself has to be protected and collected the correct way. You should use best practices for tools and procedures that you follow. For digital evidence to appear at court and be legally admissible, the evidence must be authentic, accurate, complete, and convincing to the jury. Video can also provide information external to the computer and network. You can capture screen information and other details around the system that normally would not be captured through other means. Ensure you take care of video evidence as well. And for all evidence that you collect and archive, ensure you apply chain of custody to make sure that no changes occur to the collected data. You're legally required to document and maintain the integrity of the evidence. Chain of custody is chronological documentation or paper trail that records the sequence of custody, control, transfer, analysis, and disposition of materials, including physical or electronic evidence. It is common to have a catalog that labels and documents everything collected into a central database. You can also use hashes during the collection process to easily verify the data is the same data that is collected. Evidence tagging helps identify the collected item. The tag consists of date, time, control number, and name or initials of the investigators, and much more. Time is the most critical part you need for evidence. Timeline enables a viewer to understand temporal relationships quickly. Note that some devices and data may have different timestamps, whether it's due to configuration or due to time zones. If you're using file allocation table file system, all of the timestamps are stored in the local time on that system. If the device was storing information in a file system using NTFS, the timestamps are stored in Greenwich Mean Time (GMT). The time offsets can be different depending on the operating system you're using. This can all be depicted on a report, which should start with a summary providing a high-level overview of what occurred during the security event. There should also be detailed documentation describing how the data was collected, the analysis performed on that data, the inference, and the conclusion gathered based on that analysis. Event logs provide a wealth of information because they store details about the operating system, the security events, and the applications running in the operating system. It is a detailed record of the system, security, and application notifications. And also ensure you conduct interviews. Interviews will allow you to ask questions and get information about what person saw when a particular security event occurred and much more. This video is on digital evidence acquisition. Challenge you may have when collecting data from a system is that some of the data is more volatile than others. Certain data will be stored on a system for an extended period of time, while other data may only be available for a couple of minutes. Therefore, you need to start collecting the data with the information that is more volatile. Also note that you must process the data the correct way to acquire evidence that is admissible in court, so focus on integrity. You should know the order of volatility. Volatility is a statistical measure of dispersion of data around its mean over a certain period of time. The most volatile will be CPU cache and registers. Then we have the router table, ARP cache, process table, and so on. Then we have the temporary file systems, then disks, then remote logging and monitoring data. Then comes physical configuration and network topology, with archival media as the least volatile. Let's go over the disk first. The first step is to prepare the drive to be imaged. You can power down the system so that nothing can be written to that drive. And you can also easily remove the storage drive from the system. After that, you will need to connect the drive to a device specifically designed for imaging, and a device that ensures integrity. These devices have the right protection so that nothing on that drive can be altered. You will then copy all of the data onto the drive. Then we have RAM. This can be a little bit more difficult to gather, not only because the information changes constantly, but because capturing information from memory can change a portion of that memory. There are numerous third-party tools available that can provide memory dump. These tools will take everything in the system's active memory and copy it to a separate system or a separate connected device. You can also gather as much as you can from the memory because some of the information is never written to the storage drive. The important data like browsing keys, clipboard information, encryption keys, and command history may be found in memory. They do not display on the storage drive itself. Then we have swap file. A swap or page file is a temporary storage region in operating systems. In many places, swap drive is a section of a storage device that may be used to swap data out of random access memory and free up space for other applications to run. A piece of application is contained in the swap. You can transfer an application that is not currently in use to active memory and store it on a local drive temporarily. The swap also collects information from active RAM and contains data comparable to RAM dump. The files and data present on the operating systems can help to understand security events. The operating system also contains information like a number of logged in users, open ports on devices, currently running processes, and attached devices. If you investigate malware infection or ransomware installation, then the attached devices from operating system can provide important information during the analysis. Most of the tools can also apply to mobile devices. If not, there are a lot of similar mobile versions. Inside of the mobile device, you can easily find information about phone calls, contacts, text messages, email, data, images, and so much more. You should also focus on firmware. With some security events, firmware of a device could have been modified. Getting access to the firmware may help understand how the device was exploited or used, and it has real-time data sent to and from device. When you work with virtual machines, you can easily get details from snapshot. Snapshot is an image of a virtual machine. Taking snapshot starts with original image that will act as a full backup of the system. It is common to then take subsequent snapshots of virtual machine. Especially when you change and update VM due to any reason, you will be required to take every updated snapshot. To restore a VM from the snapshots, you'll be required to use the original snapshot with all of the incremental snapshots. There's also cache. OS and applications can speed up by using cache. It's a temporary storage designed to speed up the performance of an application or operating system. There are numerous types of cache, including CPU cache, disk cache, cache for browsers, cache connected to the network. Cache often contains very specialized data. CPU cache, for example, it contains all data specified on the operation of a single CPU. Browser cache contains URLs of locations visiting with some browser page components, including text, images, and so forth. There's also network information, which contains wealth of information. You can see all of the different connections made over the network. It is useful for inbound and outbound session with devices' operating system and application traffic. Also ensure you collect artifacts. Artifacts are things that's stored in log. It may be flash memory, prefetch cache files, information stored in recycle bin, and information that you're storing in the browser.
Fluffy, delicious pancakes every time with Pearl Milling.
I've got home internet from T-Mobile.
This video is on evidence gathering on cloud. Getting digital evidence from third-party cloud compared to getting digital evidence from company-owned devices like a router, computer, and mobile devices is harder. This is due to the fact that the devices could be located anywhere around the world with cloud. It is also very difficult to associate the cloud-based data to one specific user, as many people access cloud-based service simultaneously. Picking out an individual's piece of data adds extra complexity to the forensic process. The legal issues are also associated with cloud-based data, especially since the rules and regulations around the data can be different types due to location in the world. Before you work to get access to cloud-based data for forensic purposes, you need to create an agreement on how the data could be accessed. The right to audit clauses in the agreement will permit knowing where the data is being held, how the data is being accessed over the internet, and what security features may be in place to protect the data. As an initial contract with the cloud provider is being created, the right to clause can be added to specify how to create a security audit of that data. Technology behind cloud computing is evolving rapidly, and legal system is trying to make changes with technology. And this is why security professionals need to work with legal team more frequently than not. Different regulations may bind the data in different jurisdictions. In cloud-based applications, data can be located in completely different country. In a particular case, physical location of the data center may determine the legal jurisdiction for that data. Another concern is notification laws associated with data breaches, also known as data breach notification laws. Many states and countries have laws and regulations stating if any consumer's data happen to be breached, then the consumer must be informed of that situation. And this law can be different depending on the location of where that data may be. If there is a cloud-based application, then the data will be storing information from all countries into a single database, and a breach of that data may have broad impact on who gets notified. This is heavily dependent on the location. There may be rules and regulations regarding the type of breach data, who needs to be notified if a breach occurs, and how quickly you need to notify them.
Now more is less with Cox Internet and Cox Mobile. From
This video is on preservation. Once data is acquired, both the data and the device needs to be securely stored until they are needed for further investigation. Preservation is usually done in either physical or digital storage systems, or preferably in a smart management system that can integrate with evidence management systems. When you're working with digital evidence, you need to ensure that nothing has changed. This is ensuring the integrity of the device as well as the data. The gathering of information requires best practices to ensure admissibility. When you're collecting data for evidence, you want to make sure that nothing have changed that collected information. One way to ensure this is to create a hash of that data. This is a way to cryptographically verify what you have collected will be exactly the same as what you will examine later. Integrity check can be done with checksum. This is commonly done with network communication to ensure that the information you have sent from one side of the network to the other has shown up without any type of corruption. Provenance is a metadata that is paired with records that details the origin, changes to, and details supporting the confidence or validity of data. It is basically a documented trail that accounts for the origin of a piece of data and where it has moved from to where it is currently. Data provenance is important for tracking down errors within data and attributing them to sources. Additionally, data provenance can be useful in reporting and auditing for business and research processes. This video is on e-discovery. There's a legal mechanism used to gather information called discovering. When this mechanism applies to digital technologies, it is referred to as electronic discovery or so-called e-discovery. Electronic discovery refers to discovery in legal proceedings such as litigation, government investigations, or Freedom of Information Act requests, where the information sought is in electronic format. This process simply gathers digital data. There is no need to examine or analyze the information. You're simply required to search from the list of information that is being requested. You will only need to do things like obtaining the storage drive to provide that to the authorities. The authorities will then work with digital forensics experts if needed to examine the drive and attempt to do things like recover any data that has been deleted. Recovering missing processes can be a complex process. There are numerous techniques you can use to recover data, but it is very scenario dependent. For example, data recovery technique you use is different for deleted files on the hard drive compared to corrupt or damaged storage. Do note that forensic data recovery is more complicated. It is used to recover data and files from storage devices taken as a proof or found at crime scenes. One of the techniques utilized by forensic data recovery is file carving, which excerpts data from storage device with no need for a file system that created the file initially. It recovers files and data in an unallocated space with no file information in data recovery.
You and Duncan, I'm not seeing it.
My fans is called Munchkins.
I don't know if it's enough to be the only person.
This video is on non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is a procedural, legal concept that proves the legitimacy of a message or data transfer by providing undeniable evidence of both authenticity and integrity. It is the process of proving the data integrity and the origin of data, and with this process, you know who sent the data. In information security settings, this can be accomplished in a variety of ways. We may be able to produce proof of activity directly from system or network logs, or recover such proof through use of digital forensic examination of the system or devices involved. We may also be able to establish non-repudiation through the use of encryption technologies, more specifically through the use of hash functions that can be used to digitally sign a communication or a file. Although authenticity and non-repudiation are closely related, authenticity verifies the sender's identity and source of the message, while non-repudiation confirms the validity and legitimacy of the message. Because non-repudiation only determines the validity of the inbound message, it's important to maintain authenticity to protect against tampering. This video is on strategic intelligence and counterintelligence. Strategic intelligence pertains to collection, processing, analysis, and dissemination of intelligence that is required for forming policy and military plans at the national and international level. You can gather much of this information from threat reports that you create internally or information gathered from a third party. There also might be other data sources, especially with open source intelligence, that provide some additional information as well. If you are the subject of someone else's strategy intelligence, you may want to try to prevent that intelligence from occurring. This is when you should perform counterintelligence. With counterintelligence, you identify someone trying to gather information about you or your organization and do what you can to disrupt that process. Counterintelligence also helps to gather threat information on foreign intelligence operations.
اوكي كده. ده نهاية chapter 4. باقي لنا الشابتر الأخير ده الأسبوع الجاي إن شاء الله هنخلصه، وبكرة ما هيكون في كلاس، هنزل الأسئلة بتاع شابتر 4. فأي سؤال؟